This is Dolynny TV, and guys, what a time it has been to be an Edmonton Oilers fan. Pretty much from November 12th to about now, 10-day stretch, it has been a crazy time to be an Edmonton Oilers fan. Now, I'm going to take you back to November 12th before I light you up with what I'm talking about today. Now, today I'm talking about the trade for Chris Wideman. Obviously, we'll get into that in quite a bit of detail right away here. But essentially, what I'm going back to, November 12th, kind of stuff that I've been calling, and you know what I mean? I really called strongly on November 12th for Mikko Koskinen to be the starter. From the 12th to the 22nd, guess what's changed? I would, if the Oilers haven't, a couple of people have told me I've missed the statement from the Oilers calling Koskinen the starter, but if they made no such statement and my friends are crazy, well then, buddy, let me tell you, Koskinen is 100% the starter, and you know what I mean. So, let's go back to also around that time when I was saying Todd McLellan had to be fired. Well, guess what happened the other day? Todd McLellan got fired, Ken Hitchcock got hired, and comes in promptly, wins his first game 4-3 in overtime over top of the San Jose Sharks. Now, what did I say when Ken Hitchcock was fired? It's no longer on Hitchcock, it's on Chiarelli and the players. Well, guess what? If the players go out and get a win in the coach's debut, now it's on Chiarelli to kind of make his move, which he did in inquiring a new defenseman. What does this do? What does this solve? We're about to find that out, because for a 6th round pick, I think there's a conditional on it. I have not been able to find the conditional at this time, pardon me. If I find it, I'll tweet it out for you guys that follow me on Twitter at Dolynny TV. But let's go break down this Chris Wideman trade, because essentially this isn't even our own pick, okay? So this Chris Wideman pick was previously acquired by the Oilers for Jakub Jerabek from the St. Louis Blues. So that's all the way back to just about the end of training camp, right before the Oilers headed over to Europe to play the Colner High Sharks, right? So let's go back there. We get this 6th round pick, and we're thinking, okay, you know what? We did good for a PTO defenseman. We did, oh man, excellent. Well, I don't think Jerabek was PTO, pardon me. He was a $1 million signing in late August, I want to say. I don't even remember. It's been a blur. Like, seriously, these 20 plus games we've played this year, and the preseason and the offseason, all a blur because of how much of a high, low, up, down, all around it's been for the Oilers to start 2018-2019. Either which way. So, pick came from St. Louis for Jerabek, and now we've flipped it to Ottawa to acquire another defenseman, Chris Wideman. Let's get the little bit of a lowdown on Chris Wideman. The Senators, according to TSN, obviously this is probably accurate reporting. I'm not going to say TSN's fake news because they aren't. Senators selected Wideman in the 4th round, 100th overall at the 2009 NHL draft. Okay, so that's as easy as you need on the Senators trade Wideman to Oilers for draft pick. Okay, easy go. Let's go check Chris Wideman's stats here and kind of get you guys familiar with Chris Wideman, and then I'll get you going for what I think the value in this trade is. So Chris Wideman, we'll go to the Elite Prospects sheet. And actually, you want to see the funny thing. Guys, if I'm the first one to point this out, this is hilarious. The draft pick used to acquire Chris Wideman originated from St. Louis. Where did Chris Wideman originate? Where was he born? St. Louis, in and around. All right, so St. Louis product traded for a St. Louis pick. Now, how much better does that get? I don't know, unless he was traded to St. Louis like Patrick Maroon ends up in St. Louis. You know what I mean? Either which way, let's go evaluate Chris Wideman's stats. There's a big asterisk that we have to talk about Chris Wideman in a second, but either way, we'll stop for a second on that. 19 games for Chris Wideman this year, 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 total points. Here's the ugly number. There is a but. And here is the but for you. A -9 is Chris Wideman this year. Ottawa, well, it's Ottawa. They're not exactly what I'd call a top tier club. So a -9 makes kind of sense for Chris Wideman. But you know what? Let's not exactly pretend like Edmonton has a much better defense than Ottawa. Okay? So let's go. 5 points. 19 games, a -9 rating for Chris Wideman. Usually at this time, I'd go re-evaluate the trade from our side in terms of what we're giving up as the Edmonton Oilers. But as the Edmonton Oilers, giving up a 6th-round pick for a guy that's put up 5 points in 19 games, you know what, on our defensive side of things, that's not overall bad, because I'm going to pull up the Oilers stats sheet here and kind of give you guys an overview of what our other defensemen have done, because we don't have anyone to compare them to in a trade. So our other defensemen, well, right here, you've got Kevin Gravel, however you say it. I always screw it up. Sorry, pardon me. I mean, well, he's a great player. 1 assist, 7 games. Jason Garrison, 1 goal, 11 games. Okay, so those are your bottom pairing defensemen that are in there sometimes. Matt Benning, 17 games played, 5 assists. Okay, not bad. Matt Benning doing all right. And then you've got Chris Russell, 21 games played, 6 assists. Darnell Nurse, 6 assists. And you move up the chart. Well, Adam Larsson now with 8 assists after his assist in San Jose. And where the heck is Oscar Klefbom with 8 assists as well? So defensively, you know what, on that bottom pair, it's kind of a nice upgrade is Chris Wideman if he can continue that point production, right? So not a bad upgrade for the Oilers on the bottom pair. Now the problem is Wideman actually a bottom pair defenseman? Is he top 4? What can we do with Chris Wideman under Ken Hitchcock, right? We're still learning what Ken Hitchcock's going to bring. Now we bring in a new defenseman, and now we bring the problem that is the Oilers defenseman. Bringing in Chris Wideman gives us 8 NHL ready defensemen. Okay, so that's an issue. Well, depending on if you call Matt Benning NHL ready, but let's go quickly check a conditional 2020 draft pick. Okay, so like I said, that's the St. Louis pick. Here's the scouting report on Wideman from Bob Stauffer. You know, that's a legit source. Skilled right shot puck mover who could see time on Oilers PP. So instead of throwing Klefbom on the second unit and throwing Nurse on the first unit like they should, they're going to throw Wideman out there. But 5 points, you know what, maybe what's the worst that could happen, right? So now what do you do? What do you do with Chris Wideman? It's a tough decision, right? Do you get rid of Garrison? Do you get rid of Benning? Do you send down Gravel? There's a couple of interesting scenarios right there, right? You can flip-flop around a couple of ways with how you juggle to get down to 7 defensemen. But guys, my honest opinion for you, after watching it how many times, you have to get rid of Matt Benning. Throw him on waivers. Trade him. Whatever you can do to get Matt Benning out of town, because defensively he has been an absolute sieve the past 7-8 games, and you gotta move on at some point. Ken Hitchcock, the man to move on from Matt Benning in my books. Garrison, well, you know what, he's played 11 games, which is about half our games, so he's been in and out. Does he have value? PTO guy comes in, earns a contract out of camp. Those guys are kind of the hardest to gauge if they have value or not. They would have been signed if they had value. They wouldn't have to come in on a PTO, but they got signed, so obviously they have value to the Oilers and should have value to somebody else. But then again, we're talking about the Oilers valuing defensemen, which, come on now, let's be serious, right? So overall, it's kind of a tough test to see where Garrison gets valued. Gravel, easy send down for sure. And like I said, Benning, you should just be shipping him. So guys, I don't know what to exactly think with this Edmonton Oilers defensive scheme, acquiring Chris Wideman for a 6th-round pick. But honestly, great trade from Chiarelli's perspective. That's his move. You know what? You want to bring in some fresh blood on defense, a defense that hasn't gotten it done all year. Good first move for Peter Chiarelli. Okay? Fair. It's a win for him. And I'm glad to give it to him because I know the Oilers need some defensive help. You guys rip me on Twitter. You guys rip me on the comments. Every time I talk about how terrible the Oilers defense is, but how promising something looks, you're like, well, blah, blah. Well, guess what? Here's a move to hopefully make it better. Of course, the asterisk that I was talking about 3-4 minutes ago with Chris Wideman is he was part of that Uber scandal with a couple other Senators players. Now, Chris Wideman, if he's stupid enough to get in an Uber, get recorded, get thrown up on the internet, ripping Ken Hitchcock, see ya, you're on the next bus out of town even before you can get out of the cab kind of deal. So don't think it's going to happen again. I think he just bad situation, wanted out, and now he's out and into Edmonton, another Canadian city, another chance to show and prove. Guys, am I right? Am I wrong? What do you guys think? Hit me up in the comments section below. I love talking to you guys. You know I'm interactive. I'll comment back to you. If you follow me on Twitter at Dolynny TV, I'll tweet back with my thoughts. I'm Tyson. This has been Dolynny TV. As always, guys, I will catch you in the next one.